Hello and welcome everybody, and thank you guys for joining me again. My name is Wilkie and I'm here with another Lost Ark guide, and today's topic is going to be all about Emerald Shards. So before we actually go into a little introduction on how I want to do this, basically the structure is going to be as follows. I'm going to be covering the daily sources that I think are one, if not the most essential source or sources of how to get Emerald Shards in relatively decent quantities. The second thing is that I want to talk about the weekly earnings that you should be aware of, or that you should be doing on as many characters as you can. Last but not least, I want to cover a few one-time clears or mechanics on how you can get some extra Emerald Shards, and that is pretty much all there is to it. So without further ado, let's dive right into the daily sources of Emerald Shards. So the first and probably most obvious source for your Emerald Shards needs are your Chaos Dungeons. And this is pretty straightforward. Pretty much any mob or any kill that you can do in Chaos Dungeon has a chance to drop a small batch of Emerald Shards. Usually higher difficulty grants you more, but it doesn't really say anything about quantities. As you can see here, I'm jumping around left and right. And I did do this on a high level alt. So one thing to note here, as a low level or as a fresh player, you're most likely going to start at the low level Chaos Dungeons, but that's how the progression works. The drops, like I said, are still going to be similar. As you can see, currently we have 36,419 Emerald Shards, and I'm just gonna fast forward the entire run here because we've seen Chaos Dungeon clears pretty much more often enough at this point. So you can see, and like I said, this is my high level. I don't have a low level alt, so all the mobs here are going to go poof in a very rapid succession, but I'm just gonna catch you at the end of the Chaos run. So here we are at the end of our Chaos run. As you can see, the end reward has a bunch of Emerald Shards as a reward listed as well. And we're gonna take a quick rundown. The other thing that I want to mention is any extra gear that you get from Chaos Dungeons that you don't need because you have the right tripods, or you don't need the engravings on the accessories, dismantle them. This is actually another source of Emerald Shards, or basically any shard whatsoever, that a lot of people seem to not be aware of. So whenever you don't need the gear, just dumpster it, everything, as you can see here in the video. Obviously, lower level gear will probably give you fewer quantities, but the mechanics are still the same. So dismantle any excess materials, equipments, and grab more shards. So the next daily thing is actually a little bit more convoluted or slash hidden, and it's about Guardian raids that you can or should do daily as well. They don't actually have Emerald Shards listed as a reward because they don't drop directly. But the mechanic that I showed you just about now, when you dismantle stuff from Chaos Dungeons you get Emerald Shards, applies to Guardians as well. For this example here, I took Orunal because it's quick, but you should get the idea. Any extra accessories that you don't need because you have the right engravings, or you don't need to sell them or anything, dismantle them. Obviously, the quantity is gonna be a lot lower than from Chaos Dungeons, but it's still there, and you can do 2 Guardians every day. So if you are a new player, you should definitely get into the habit of doing your Chaos Dungeons and your Guardian raids daily. And the last daily source is actually rather simple, and that has to do with your Epona dailies. Now obviously you see that I get Citrine Shards because I am on my tier 3 character. Like I said, I don't have a low level character, so I can't really show that to you. But basically, if your item level is somewhere around 300 plus, all the way up until 801, you should be receiving Emerald Shards from some of the dailies. So I highly recommend check out your daily tab, see which quests are available, which are easy to do, because there's nothing more annoying than knowing that you have to do dailies every day for like 20 minutes of your time, when there are a lot better and a lot faster options. Try and figure out which dailies you want to run, especially if you are in need of Sapphire Emerald Shards, because they are definitely a very valid source, as you can do 3 of these per day, which would net you an extra, even if you only do the small ones, that would be an extra 1,200 Emerald Shards. One final last daily thing is below the minimap, you see the Procea's compass icon. Click on that, and it's not every day, but some days of the week you have an island with another shard, where usually it's better to actually take the gold one, but there are days when there's no gold island available. So if you really need more shards, you can definitely check that one out as well. So going over the weekly sources, the first one should be pretty obvious. Your weekly quests, exactly in the same fashion as your daily quests, there are weekly quests that can give you certain materials, including shards. Obviously, you see Sapphire Shards here because my character is basically past tier 1 gear. So if you were to be a tier 1 character, you would be seeing Emerald Shards here. Like I said, definitely keep on doing those. They also give you a bunch of other things, such as Legacy XP, shillings for certain items, but definitely do your weekly quests and pick the ones that have the highest Sapphire or Emerald Shard, depending on which one you are, and pick the one that suits your needs the best. A very similar thing that we did with the daily materials or items that we dismantled, you can dismantle stuff that you get from a void dungeon. Obviously, if you are lower level, you're going to be running lower level void dungeons, but the mechanics are the same. What a lot of people don't actually know is this material here is from Peyton, right? So you obviously get different types of materials from your lower level voids. The idea is still the same. You can actually dismantle those as well, and look at that, it grants me Sapphire Shards. So dismantling stuff like lower level materials that you don't actually need will yield you an additional amount of Emerald Shards. And lastly, the same thing applies to your Abyss raid. So if you actually manage to clear your Mystic, everything you get from Mystic that you don't actually need to craft any items, and you actually shouldn't if you're playing in the Russian server, just dismantle it and get another small boost of Sapphire/Emerald Shards. So the next 3 weekly sources basically work about the same principle. There's a currency that you can farm in-game or obtain in-game and exchange that for additional materials. The first one that I want to talk about is the Silmael crystal swap, which is basically your guild merchant. So obviously you need to be in a guild and you need to do guild activities such as logging in and stuff like that. I explained this in another video. But basically, being part of a guild and putting your weekly contribution above the required limit nets you a certain amount of Silmaels every week. So why you actually want to go here is in case you're looking for Emerald Shards. You can see that there are 5 pouches to be obtained every week per character. That means if you have alts, you should park them in different guilds as well and pretty much do the same thing over there. Now, this isn't a huge amount of Emerald Shards, but it's there, and like I said, doing guild activities and doing minimal contribution isn't really difficult, so you should actually try and get the habit of that one done, because you can get an additional 2,500 Emerald Shards every week for as little as 400 of these Silmael crystals. The second weekly exchange that I think even more people don't know or aren't aware of is the exchange PvP, or the PvP exchange merchant, which you can exchange stuff for Token of Courage. If you go to the resource tab here, you can see that these are the big ones, the one with 1,500 per bag, and you can get also 5 per week. So 500 of these tokens would get you another 7,500 Emerald Shards. If you add that up to the guild one, you're already at 10,000 additional shards every week that you can get, given that you have enough resources to do that. And obviously obtaining those isn't too difficult either. However, currently the ranked season isn't up, so it's a little bit of a problem, but once the ranked PvP is up again, you'll be able to rack these up much easier. But there's going to be a different video explaining PvP in more detail. And the last of the weekly things is our pirate coins. Another overlooked thing, especially since sea content isn't really incorporated into your quest line. So if you don't actually do it by yourself, or maybe figure it out by yourself, it may actually be that you never really think about those. So we actually are, or as you can see, we just entered the ocean, and there are NPCs at each of these harbors. We're gonna go to the trading line here. So there you are at the pirate coin exchange, and here at the resource tab, actually the miscellaneous tab, not the resource tab, you can see another 5 weekly bags for a total of 2,000 pirate coins, which is as little as doing 1 sea event for all 4 minigames. If you do 1 sea event and do all 4 minigames, you have enough pirate coins to buy these every week, and then you can buy another one of these. So if you add those all 3 sources together, you get 2,500 from guild exchange, 7,500 extra from PvP, adds up to 10,000, and another 5 bags of 1,000 per bag, which adds up to a total of 15,000 extra Emerald Shards per week for a relatively low investment if you know how to do these things. So going over to the one-time rewards, there are 3 things that I want to mention. The first one is very simple, just do your quests. Some, if not most of your side quests, especially ones unlocking certain continents, will actually give you a small amount of Emerald Shards, so it's just always a good idea to clean up some quests. A rather big award or reward waits for you doing the tower. As you can see here, the tower starts at item level 302, so pretty much any alt that is basically able to do Chaos Dungeons can start doing this. And as you can see, the very first reward is already 1 bag of Emerald Shards. There's another 1k back here, 1.5k here, 1.5k here, 2 1.5k bags here. As you can see, this ramps up quite quickly, and there are also other good and very valuable rewards to be obtained from the tower. So I highly suggest doing this, especially since this can be done on any alt that you play. You don't have to do this on one character alone, but even if you've done this on your main, you can do this on any alt that you want. Last but not least, if you click on the present box below your minimap, you have a few missions here that give you some Emerald Shards. As you can see here, clearing the 10th floor of the tower gives you 100. Clearing floor 25 gives you another 500. Another big chunk, though, actually comes from PvP. As you can see here, fight in the arena 10 times, you get 2,500. Fight in the stadium, I think this is last team standing if I'm not mistaken, you get 10,000. Also, if you go to the 2nd level, you can see that you can get 20,000 extra Emerald Shards for just doing 10 PvP matches. It's really not a big deal to do this. It doesn't matter if you win or not. You just have to be there and participate. One match takes exactly 5 minutes. Obviously, there's a bit of wait time and loading time, but the actual match is only 5 minutes long. So as you can see, there are various hidden things that you can use to boost your Emerald Shards. There's one last thing that I like to mention. There are certain islands that give you Emerald Shards as well as a quest line. These usually require certain songs, which most of the time aren't accessible for new players. If you are a veteran player, be sure to check out islands such as, for example, the Seagull Island, as that is another quest line that gives you a plethora of Emerald Shards. That is it for my how to obtain Emerald Shards, especially as a new player. I do hope this was helpful. Like I said, as usual, if you have any other questions, feel free to put them down in the comment section below. Lastly, I stream Mondays on 1700 CST, so if you want to see me live and have any specific questions, you can catch me on my Twitch channel there, or on any of my social media, as the links are in the description below. Last but not least, I do hope this was helpful. Stay healthy, stay safe. I'll catch you guys next time.